Shuchi, we can start. I think Rita is joining in here.
Okay, share the screen.
Okay. Ji. Well, keynote speaker of this evening, Janhavi Malhotra ji.
Hello, good evening.
Our president, Sanjay Bhatia, Secretary Suchi, fellow Rotarians, Rotarians, good evening.
Good evening.
Our meeting 2274 of Rotary Club Chandigarh Midtown is called to order. I hand over the meeting to our president, Sanjay Bhatia. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Sergeant Pastor R.K. Lutherji, and good evening to all, and special welcome to our guest speaker for this evening, Janhavi Malhotra. And I do see a lot of guests. I may not be able to acknowledge them individually. Good evening to all of them. Perhaps a lot of them may be non-Rotarians. So welcome, a warm welcome to this meeting. We meet every Friday and 6:30 virtually. And as has been our tradition, we start the meeting with an invocation. Today's invocation, I would like to invite our secretary, Shuchi Thakur, for this evening's invocation. Shuchi.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. टॉपिक भी वही है तो इसलिए इन्वोकेशन भी पॉजिटिव ही है। मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तुमने भगवान बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। न मिलती अगर दी हुई रात तेरी, जमाने में क्या थी औकात मेरी। मुझे तूने जीने के काबिल किया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। किया कुछ नहीं है, शर्मसार हूँ मैं, तेरी रहमतों की तलबदार हूँ मैं। दिया कुछ नहीं बस लिया ही लिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। तेरी रहमतों का इशारा न होता तो दुनिया में मेरा गुजारा न होता। उसे क्या कमी जो तेरा हो गया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तूने भगवन बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। Back to you,
Excellent, Suchi. Very nice. Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice. Excellent.
Very nice, Shuchi.
Well,
Thank you, Shuchi. Reminds us that we should always remember our gratitude for everything that we get, little or big. You see the Zoom background I decided to use, virtual background decided to use today. It mentions about the 18th April, which is day after tomorrow, Sunday, 9 p.m. There is a Rotary Friendship Exchange online meet at 9 p.m. Where we would be connecting with Rotarians in Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Canada, and of course India. Our International Service Director, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, has coordinated and put together a wonderful program. In these difficult times, in Rotary Friendship Exchange is actually involves visits by Rotarians of one country to another country and then vice versa. But in these times, I think this is a very nice program that he has put together. So we would keep announcing this over the next 2-3 days to remind members to definitely join this program on the 18th of April, Sunday, 9 p.m. our Indian Standard Time. This week, a lot of things I've been hearing from people on the streets, amongst friends, that are we really going through the worst times over the last 1 year? So it just makes me think that we should not be losing hope. Yes, the vaccinations have started. Yes, yet the news is not very good. The government has taken initiative with the Utsav, vaccination Utsav. That's happened last week. And probably in these times, the real test comes on our strength, not just physical strength, our mental strength, our hope that we have. And I just request all members that we should help each other and stay strong mentally. I do not know what the program for today is, but but I'm sure that our takeaway would be that in trying times, we should remain positive and take care of each other. With this, I would like to invite our AG, Dr. Rita Carver, to introduce our guest speaker for this evening, Janhavi Malhotra. Dr. Rita.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a beautiful day. It is a special day too, as I believe in serendipity. Because whatever happens, happens for a reason. It is not by accident. Each one of you in this Zoom room tonight are there for a reason. It's not mere coincidence that tonight we have a wonderful platform and our outstanding guest speaker is a strong believer in power of positive thinking and the positive energy which can actually change the world. Well, friends, we are in the middle of the second wave of COVID pandemic. We will not get into the statistics. You know why? Because it's depressing. We are not going to talk also how it has happened because we just want to stop it. And we know that life will stop to exist the way we see it if the things don't change. It is time to come together to the awareness of our mental health and strength. Now, who else to talk to us but an effective coach, empathetic listener, and an innovative professional with an ever-smiling face? Our speaker today strives only for perfection. Currently working with corporate talent management team as assistant manager of IHCL, she has an experience of over 5 years in HR management. She's a certified exclusive coach by European Mentoring and Coaching Council and is also a certified CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility Professional by Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, where she ranked first in the country. A proud alumnus of XLR Jamshedpur and King's College London, she specializes in organizational psychiatry and psychology. She has a keen understanding of behavioral sciences and has volunteered at Samarpan Foundation for Education and Economic Empowerment of Women and Children and at Samarth, the home for differently abled for their social rehabilitation at such a young age. Janhavi has been honored with several distinctions: Jamshedji Tata Scholarship, J.N. Tata Endowment Scholarship, Flying Machine Contest for Young Achievers, Commendation Award for Art and Culture. Janhavi's thoughts have taken the shape of a collection of poetry, aloft on the wings of grit, which speaks of determination in face of adversity, which she wrote in her hospital room at Tata Memorial Center, Mumbai. She has been blessed to be born to exemplary parents, Mrs. and Mr. Anil Malhotra, who have joined us today and who have been her ideals all her life. I must mention that Mr. Malhotra is larger than life business icon with years of work experience more than his age. Janhavi in Hindi means River Ganga. People with name Janhavi have a pragmatic approach. It cannot be mere coincidence that name symbolizes unlimited energy. They are honest, brilliant, full of aspiration. They are creative and born artists. They believe in spirituality. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Janhavi Malhotra and celebrate her presence with a thunderous applause. She is waiting to lift you off the floor and fly you up under her wings with the power of positive thinking. Welcome, Janhavi.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Kalra. I'm truly touched by your extremely kind words. And good evening, everybody. It's an absolute honor to be here amongst you all. So today I'm going to take you through a quick session on mental health and the power of positive thinking. It includes some interesting facts, research, and my own experience with positive thinking and how I actually came to believe in its effectiveness. So this should take about 20 to 25 minutes. And I would really love for this to be a participative discussion. So please do send in your thoughts, questions, etc. Via the chat box, or if you're more comfortable unmuting yourself in the middle to contribute to the discussion, that would be great too. In any case, we'll conduct a short discussion for about 10 minutes once the session is complete. So I'll just share my screen so we can begin. Yeah. So we begin with mental health. What is mental health really? We know it probably has something to do with how healthy our minds or our brains are, but what do you believe it entails? Please do send in your suggestions through the chat box or unmute yourself and let me know what you think. What is mental health? What does it comprise of? Okay, so when we speak of mental health, some initial words that come to mind are attitude, optimism, thinking, psychology, etc. So let's now delve a little bit deeper. Yes, I see more suggestions that are flowing in: a healthy body, psychological and emotional well-being, a balanced mind. So yeah, so let's delve a little bit deeper to understand what exactly it entails. Mental health denotes our overall well-being. That's emotional. Our emotional well-being would mean feeling good, generally experiencing positive emotions such as love, joy, or general life satisfaction, really. Psychological well-being, which would include different aspects such as self-acceptance, autonomy, which essentially means our ability and freedom to make our own decisions, the ability to manage everyday situations in the face of stress, adversity, and so on, and social well-being, which is the way we interact with other people, form relationships, and how we carry them out. So, mental health also determines how we think, feel, and act in situations. So it determines how we think in the sense how we perceive a situation, how we deduce it, what it means to us, how we feel about it, and in turn it directly affects our behavior, how we react, or it could also influence how we relate to other people, make choices, how we handle stress, and so forth. So how healthy really do you think the population, what are the mental health stats like in India at this moment? The picture is something like this. So 7.5% of Indians, as of a WHO report that was released in 2020, suffer from mental health disorders. And as you can see in the subsequent stat, a far higher number was estimated for 2021. So no surprises there, given the extremely stressful environment that we are living in right now in the middle of this pandemic. No surprises that the stat has increased so much since 2020. And as you can see, the economic losses caused by poor mental health are extremely enormous. Another interesting stat is that out of 7 Indians, 1 out of 7 Indians is affected by a mental health disorder. Now, some of these are more uncommon and more like things we see in movies, things that seem very difficult to actually imagine somebody go through. But however, some of these are extremely common and things that could be could be plaguing people around us, but we probably wouldn't even know. We would probably be oblivious to this. Depression, for example, a sufferer of depression possibly would, feel extremely low, have no desire to even get out of bed, and people around them would probably just put that down to, laziness or lack of drive, etc. Anxiety caused by extremely high levels of stress and often comorbid with panic attacks. Eating disorders, which entail a very warped image of one's appearance or body, and substance abuse or dependency, which essentially speaks of addiction to alcohol or other drugs. And this was recently included in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders in its most recent version in 2013. So, what is an underlying factor that is possibly something that's common to all of these disorders? Any guesses? Something that, maybe a person with depression, anxiety, and someone who overdoses on alcohol, something that, they might feel, all of them might feel, something that's common. You could send in your messages on the chat. Unhappiness, yes. Unhappiness is also another thing that would go hand in hand with unhappiness would be anger, right? So we could put these down to possibly stressful emotions. Now we've all felt stressed out at some point in our lives. Yes, stress. So when we're stressed out, we feel overwhelmed, we feel possibly unable to cope with the situation at hand, unable to deal with what is going on around us. And let's talk about what has stressed us out this week. For example, for me, I have been quite stressed out this week because I have an upcoming exam that I felt like I wasn't very well prepared for. What about you all? So basically, things that stress us out could be clubbed under 2 main headers. That's life stressors, such as things that, any kind of personal upheavals, getting married, an argument or a disagreement with a loved one, having a baby, or any kind of personal upheaval, really. Or work stress, something that I'm sure all of us are all too familiar with. Long working hours, a disagreement with a boss or a co-worker, and so forth. So, and these are the most common sources of stressors, but in this world that we currently live in today, like all of the speakers at the introduction rightly said, we are living in an extremely stressful environment where everything is stressful. Looking at numbers, like Dr. Kalra said, is the most stressful and upsetting thing today. Oh my God, India crossed 2 lakh cases now. Cases in Maharashtra are skyrocketing. Maybe I should call up my relatives in Bombay and tell them to stay safe. Even worse, the neighbors have COVID. Now what am I going to do? I'm even more stressed out between all of the masking and sanitizing again and stressing out over all of this. Our brains are super overworked, and a reaction that takes place in our brains looks something like this. I know we have some doctors in our presence today, and they probably know this. They'll probably be able to explain this far better than I can. So it starts off with an alarm signal that gets triggered when you perceive a stressful situation. Then the brain gets triggered when the alarm signal is transferred to a part of our brain called the amygdala. So now the amygdala is the center for decision making and regulation of emotions. So now when we feel stressed, you can imagine how crazy the amygdala is going, because that's the center that regulates our emotions. So now the amygdala is all over the place. So in turn, it goes and alerts the hypothalamus, which starts the hormone cascade. It begins now the hormone cascade as the fast part of our nervous system releases adrenaline, and the hypothalamus starts to produce a stress hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol and adrenaline and all of these other chemicals, lesser known ones, start to enter the bloodstream and travel throughout our body. So it's not just our brain that's stressed, it's literally all of us. Your hands are stressed, your legs are stressed, your stomach is stressed. And then cortisol goes and attaches itself to your muscles and your organs, and it studs itself in the form of a protein called a glucocorticoid receptor. After this, it produces, sort of makes your blood sugar skyrocket, your adrenaline kicks in, it makes your heart pound, it increases the oxygen to your large muscles, and it prepares you to fight or flight that stressful situation. So now, what next? How do we deal with this? If we don't deal with it and we let this entire cycle go on and repeat itself, prolonged stress would lead to burnout, which would result in deteriorated physical health in terms of cardiovascular health, lowered immunity, and several other things. Fluctuations in weight, irritable bowel syndrome, the list is pretty much endless. So this is definitely not the way to be, dealing with stress. Probably better to nip it in the bud with more effective coping mechanisms that will help us arrive at a state of equilibrium at get-go. Okay, so now this doesn't mean that we stress out about being stressed. Let's not let the idea of stress and its effect on our body stress us out even further. Instead, let's talk about self-care. What is it that you do to take care of yourself? Do you like to maybe go for a run? Do you like to bake? Do send in your suggestions on the chat box. I'm sure this will give all of us some great tips to fall back on next time we're stressed out. Speak to a friend. That's a suggestion we've just got.
Pranayam.
Pranayam, of course, that's possibly one of the best. Direct impact on our body. Watch cartoons.
Yeah, a lot of oxygen.
Yes, exactly.
Or dance.
Sorry, dance?
Yeah.
Dance also good.
That's great. Yeah.
Great stress buster.
Yes, Suchi knows it better.
Wow, Shruchi, you're really multi-talented. Your singing was amazing, and I can't believe you danced too.
Thank you.
Communicate everything with family members. Family bond is very important.
Absolutely, and we're going to come to exactly just how important that is at the latter part of this. So we have more suggestions. Listen to music, play with kids, long drive, old music, go for a long walk, etc.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of these tips that y'all are sharing center around exercising and feeling better physically.
Avoiding the situation, Anna.
Sorry?
Avoiding the situation, getting out of it.
Getting out of the situation. Yeah, absolutely. If you feel like the situation isn't right for you, it's best to just take yourself out of it.
फिर बात करेंगे यार, छोड़ो इसको. हस्बैंड वाइफ में झगड़ा हो जाता है ना शाम को. Then say okay यार, कल गल करेंगे ना, छोड़ो. आगे चलो. रोटी तो खा ली है.
That leaves a bad taste also. In case you avoid it, you cannot escape from the reality. You cannot. You have to spit out at that very time in a very positive way.
It depends. Nah. This can lead to a further bigger issues.
Yes. So, rightly said, momentarily taking ourselves out of the situation may help reduce stress temporarily. But, if the issue is something that will persist, it is bound to stress you out at a later time.
Yeah.
So, So reflecting back on some of these suggestions that people have sent in through the chat box, a lot of them seem to center around exercising, pranayam, someone mentioned, I mean, dancing, walking, all of these things centered around exercising. A
Deep
healthy
breathing.
diet, sorry?
Deep breathing.
Deep breathing.
Deep breathing, yes, yes, of course. Deep breathing, yoga, pranayam, eating clean. Some people like to drink calming teas, chamomile tea. You know, some people like to use calming oils like lavender oil, etc. And some of us exceptionally productive people like to channelize all that stressful energy into cleaning. So there's that.
And have a big laugh. Big laugh.
Yeah, nothing like a big laugh.
Something to calm your mind.
Yes, yes, yes.
Something to calm your mind. You should always start with the day with when you do the things which can make your mind calm in the morning hours, so that the rest of the day is you feel it normal things.
Very true.
नहीं रोटरी का चल रही मीटिंग हाँ मैं
Meditational box, single box.
So while these are effective mechanisms to dealing with stress, some other mechanisms that involve a little bit more cognitive activity on our part are possibly acknowledging and understanding the situation, understanding, okay, fine, I am stressed about this exam I have coming up, and let me see what I can do about it. Writing, journaling, that is something that has personally worked really well for me. This is something that I've always done ever since I was in school. So I used to maintain a personal diary that worked as an outlet for all of my emotions, and I found that very effective. Breaking down the situation. Ask yourself, okay, fine, this is stressing me out. Now, is this temporary or is it permanent? Okay. And is there anything I can do about it? Yes. Okay, then great. Then why stress? Do it. And if there's nothing I can do about it, then why stress? Let things go as they are. So then, of course, like somebody rightly mentioned earlier, reaching out to your support system, your friends, family, loved ones. And last but not the least, it's also exceptionally important to acknowledge the need for professional help if and when things seem to be getting out of hand to a level where it's difficult to manage. Reaching out for professional help, like if you have a cough or a cold, you don't hesitate to just call the doctor and get some advice. So why do we do that if we are having panic attacks or if we're feeling a little bit more blue than usual, right? So moving forward, we're just going to do this really quick exercise called the emotional freedom technique. And I'm going to do it along with you. It's a very effective technique in reducing stress levels and really just calming down and relaxing. So I would love for everybody to do this alongside with me. It'll only take about a minute or two. Let's identify a stressor, something that's been a while. Just think about it. For me, this is a project deadline that I'm working with. This assignment I have is due in the next week and I haven't even started. And I have a lot to do. So that's really stressing me out. That's my stressor. Think of your own. Now let's figure out on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is this bothering you? How intense is it in terms of stress? Maybe you can write it down on a scratch pad or even think of it and preserve that number in your head for a bit, whatever is convenient. Say I'm at about a 7 or an 8 on 10. Now let's try and create a phrase that calms us down and is specifically addressed to this problem. Like, since I'm stressed out about this deadline, mine is going to be, even though I'm stressed out about this deadline, I completely accept myself. So by doing this, I'm telling myself that I accept myself. I know I'm stressed out about this, but it's okay. And this what I'm going to do next is really going to help me calm down. So we're going to tap our 9 meridian points. Now they're called meridian points because these are the points that are mirrored on either side of your body. Now since this is something we're going to be doing to ourselves, you can use one hand and pick one side of your body that you would like to do this to. And I mean, the points that we're going to tap at all denote a particular organ underneath, but anyway, that's not the focus of this. The focus is just to channelize that stressful energy into tapping away and see how it helps us calm down. So I'm going to start with the side of my hand. It would be great if you could do this alongside while thinking of what's stressing you out. I know it may seem a little bit silly to tap and talk to yourself, but trust me, it will. So I'm going to tap at this and say, yes, this deadline is really stressing me out. What am I going to do about it? It's due in a week. Move to my eyebrow. Okay, maybe I shouldn't think about this right now. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Right now, let me focus on the session that I'm delivering. Side of my eye. Okay, fine. I have this deadline, but I will make it. I accept myself in this moment. Under my eye. Okay, starting to breathe a little bit slower. I accept the fact that I may not make this deadline. Under my nose, I'm calm, starting to feel a little more relaxed. Chin. Okay, I accept myself completely. The collarbone. Here I like to use my entire hand and tap this part where I can feel my pulse. I feel like that is a little bit more effective. All is well. Everything is fine. Under your arm. This is okay. I accept myself. Even if I don't make this, I will make it. Either way, I accept myself. Top of your head. And I'm now feeling more relaxed. Yeah. Okay. So I know one tends to feel a little bit silly performing this exercise, but I have found it to be really quite useful. So, you know, we can reflect back on our initial score of how intense the stress was and how intense is it now. It will surely have reduced by a couple of points, and it's okay if it hasn't. Maybe then you need to repeat the sequence another couple of times. So this is very quick, it's effective, and yeah, I mean, you can repeat it any number of times until you feel like it's working for you. So let's just delve into how the emotional freedom tapping technique really works. So we have this guy over here who's got this pain in his right shoulder. Now he's thinking about it, and you know, if he thinks about it too much, again, it's going to go and fire up his amygdala. And then that entire crazy hormone cascade is going to start, and we want to avoid that. So instead, he channelizes the stress into tapping and these positive affirmations that he's giving himself. Now, the input of this kinetic energy on his points tends to, you know, it's kind of like you're tricking the amygdala, because you're distracting from that entire, you're distracting your brain from getting stressed about it by tapping these points and breathing and telling yourself that it's fine. So that entire circuit that would otherwise have followed is now blocked and balance is restored. So that is how it works biologically, really. And with that, we come to the second piece of this discussion, which is centered around positive thinking. Now, I believe very strongly in positive thinking and the power it brings with it, because I was diagnosed with a serious health condition when I was about 13. And it was obviously a very stressful time for me and my family at the time. And when you're 13, dealing with something like that it's inexplicable. I mean, it's horrible at any age, but in your teens and at such a young age to be, you know, in and out of hospitals, dealing with something that's stressing you out mentally, physically, etc., is very difficult. And I would always hear my parents and my family and my doctors tell me, think positive, you know, think you're fine and you will be fine. initially I thought that this is easier said than done. I can try thinking that, but will it really work? And so, I tried and I tried a little bit more. But what helped me get into it was, like I said earlier, I enjoy writing. So I would use that as an outlet to express myself, and I would write a diary. And my my writings actually took the shape of the book that Dr. Kalra was kind enough to mention earlier. And my book is titled Aloft on Wings of Grit, and it's titled after a poem in the book called Wings of Grit, which speaks of a caterpillar's morphosis into a butterfly, how a caterpillar faces so much hardship, when it's going through that entire phase where it's a cocoon, it faces the wrath of weather, it could become someone else's dinner, but eventually it soars into a beautiful butterfly and it soars into the sky. So as I was, writing about all of this, I began to think that, yes, okay, I'm a caterpillar right now because, I'm dealing with all this, but maybe later on, I'm going to turn into a butterfly once this is over and just fly away from all this adversity. And that's when I felt this really worked for me. So it depends on how you look at a situation, really. So let's just talk about how our week has been so far. How was your week? Was it happy? Was it sad? Was it angsty? Again, please do send in one word perhaps to describe your week on the chat box. Happy. Great. So basically through this exercise, okay, tiring. Fine. So through this exercise, what the intent of this is that it's to help us sort of identify, that are we biased to think negatively? Somebody says their week was uncertain, someone says it was happy, someone says it was full of anxiety, somebody else was tired. Okay, fine. Now, maybe we should just stop to pause and kind of think. If you feel like your week was full of anxiety, you had a very anxious week, or you had a very sad, upsetting week. Now, did maybe 2 or 3, stressful or sad things happen? And what about the rest of the week? Are we a little bit biased to think negatively? Are we a little bit biased to kind of set very unrealistic goals for ourselves? So let's just take a look at this short video that will help us, put things into perspective. So I've just forwarded it a little bit so that we don't take up too much time. It's basically a video of parents looking at their child's report card. Here we go.
English A, mathematics A, physics A, chemistry A.
Sorry.
A. What is this?
What? He got a B in classical studies.
He got a B?
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. My son got a B.
It's only one.
Still, it's a B. He could have got all A's. Mr. Sinha's son got all A's. But my son had to get a B.
Mr. Sinha's son only did 2 A levels. Our son did 5 in one sitting. He's the first in his school ever to do that.
Really?
Yes.
Then he is going to school full of idiots. I'm going to keep my head up in the community. My son got a B.
He got the grades to do medicine at Cambridge.
He is doing medicine at Cambridge?
Yes.
Idiot! He should be doing PhD.
You don't let him do a postgraduate without a degree.
I know. That's why I was telling him to do his degree in his spare time. What's wrong with him? Mr. Khanna's son is getting BSc. My son is only doing A levels. Too busy playing football.
He got into the Millwall first team.
Millwall. Mr. Owen's son is getting into Liverpool. My son can only get a place in Millwall. He will bring shame to the family.
But Liverpool wouldn't give him a trial.
And what is that?
Because he's 6.
that helps put things into perspective, and we've all probably been guilty of the negative bias at some point in our lives, whether it's with respect to the way we perceive ourselves or the way the expectations we have from our loved ones. Just included this little quote by Winston Churchill about how a pessimist always sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist will always see the opportunity in every difficulty. And this brings us to the glass half empty, half full analogy, the age-old analogy, where, you know, we know that a situation is only as good or bad as we see it as. So, you know, that brings us back to where we reflected back at our week. Was the entire week awful, or did one or two not so nice things happen, whereas 3 or 4 good things happened? And our brains just work in favor of the negative bias. Some other ways the negative bias may manifest itself, some of the very common ways are perhaps a performance review at work. Okay, so I had a performance review, and suppose my manager told me that, okay, this quarter was great, you met all your targets, you did that presentation well. However, maybe you need to develop this one particular skill set a little bit more. And maybe that one particular project got a little bit derailed. I come out of that, how do I come out of that feeling? I don't come out of there feeling very happy at all, because I don't know, for some reason my brain is programmed to just focus on the negatives. An argument with your significant other, maybe you had a great weekend, you went out for a lovely dinner, but you had that little argument. A week later, when you think of that weekend, odds are one will only remember that one argument. Think about an embarrassing event that possibly happened years ago. I can share one of my most embarrassing moments. So this was about 9 or 10 years ago. I was in school and I was participating in this debate, and I went up on stage all prepared to give my speech, and I blanked out. Now at that moment I wish the ground would just swallow me up, and now when I think about it, I still feel rather mortified. But guess what? None of my batchmates remember this even happened. It's just our brains that are working overtime to go out of their way to process all the negative stimuli that is around us, to over-process and over-retain that negative information. Negative thought processing attracts more negative thoughts, and we enter this entire negative spiral, and that ends up in complaining about even more things, which is why it's very important to stop and just self-regulate. And that would come with sort of just reflecting back on what we discussed on the previous couple of slides. Is this really how I want to describe my entire week or my entire experience? Or, you know, was the entire quarter all that bad, even though I got 3 good things that my manager said about me? That's self-regulation for you. Thinking positively and negatively also determines how we think, feel, and act. Now, this is a person, he's thinking rather negatively about this social event. This social event is going to make him feel very anxious. So he starts thinking, oh my God, now people will know that I'm going to be anxious and I can't do this. He starts feeling very stressed out. His heart rate increases, his palms start sweating. And then what is the behavior? Avoids the situation altogether. He doesn't attend that event, even though there may have been positives that may have come out of that experience. And like somebody rightly said on one of the previous slides, that avoidance probably is not the best coping mechanism, no? Instead, now this person starts thinking more positively. They're feeling stressed, but they self-regulate quickly and don't let that entire hormone cascade and that crazy spiral start off. They start to think of the situation as it is. This leads to an improved mood. They start thinking of helpful thoughts. They engage in productive behaviors. Relaxation techniques help this. And the way they act may be determined by the thoughts now. For example, this person may not magically decide that, I'm going to attend this social event and it's going to be great. No. They may say that, let me attend for 10 minutes and see how I feel about it, and then I'll take it from there. So that's the effect that positive thinking would have on our entire think, feel, act cycle. What are the benefits at each stage? When we think, we tend to think more positively. We end up with peace of mind. enhanced emotional well-being that we spoke of to begin with, better mood. How do we feel? It impacts our physical health positively. We feel happier. We have better health, cardiovascular health, enhanced immunity, better resilience to deal with situations. And how do we act? We regulate our behavior, understand how to deal with situations. We act in a more emotionally intelligent fashion. And when we interact with other people, all of this positivity reflects in our interactions. We don't go and maybe yell at our significant other because we had a bad day at work. So that's how this helps at each stage of the cycle. What is the key to unlocking happiness? That's soap. No, not actually nahane wala sabun. Let's break soap down a little bit further. Social connections. Again, someone had rightly said as we started talking about what helps deal with stressful situations, that's a support system, reaching out to family, friends, loved ones. O for optimism, just a positive outlook in general, appreciation or gratitude, and purpose, a sense of purpose that actually sort of reinforces that sense of self within us. So, sorry, let's move forward to breaking this down further. We'll begin with social connections. The depth and breadth of one's social connections have been shown to be direct predictors of happiness, more so than wealth, status, lifestyle, money, position, all of this. And this can be seen through this very interesting study that was conducted on sex workers and slum dwellers in Calcutta. Now, they reported very positive life satisfaction ratings, and these were actually attributed to positive and strong social connections because they were an extremely closely knit community. And that's what kept them going. That's what made them feel positive despite their life circumstances. And another interesting fact. Now, did you know that people with 5 or more close friends, that's excluding family, just friends, are 50% more likely to be happy than respondents with less than 5 close friends? So maybe not, maybe, I mean, that stat just kind of makes me wonder, maybe it's time to reach out to a friend, reach out to an old friend, re-establish that connection, maintain that relationship. I know during these times it's not possible to physically meet, but technology is great. I mean, look at us, we're all sitting in different cities and we're having this face-to-face conversation. So nothing like the world we live in today to actually foster relationships even from afar. Another interesting piece of research I came across was a review of 32 studies that was conducted over 50 years of research that told us that family rituals and regular routines have a very positive impact on health and relationships. Now, these are extremely mundane daily routines that we engage in without even realizing, like eating dinner together, usual bedtime rituals, chores. Yeah, that's a great reason to get your kids involved in housework, visiting with relatives, etc. And other rituals that we usually engage in with families, birthday celebrations, going on holiday together, praying together, or even funerals. They all bring us together. So we'll just move forward to the next part. Sorry. Okay. So we'll move forward to the next part of SOAP, that's optimism. So The Secret. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard of it. We've all heard of the book Secret, and we've possibly even read it. This, you know, it says that you think of something you want, you believe it's already a reality, and you will achieve it. So when you want something, you think of it, it manifests itself in the universe, and the universe works towards making this a reality. Now, this works really well for some people, but some of our realists out there, it may not really resonate with them. They may not find it a very effective or accurate approach to becoming optimistic. So here's where learned optimism comes in. This is a concept put forth by a psychologist called Seligman. He's actually the known as the father of positive psychology. Yes, that's an entire field, just positive psychology. That's quite encouraging, isn't it? So learned optimism basically, what do you think? Can you learn to have a positive outlook, and how would that really change your life? So with a more joyful outlook on life, Seligman went on to explain that we are actually in a much better position to enhance our well-being. Learned optimism is a concept that essentially states that we can change our attitude and behaviors by recognizing and challenging our negative self-talk. And we are all guilty of this negative self-talk. You know, for example, I went to the gym today and I couldn't lift this dumbbell. God, I'm such a loser. We have to stop that. Okay, I didn't do that project all that well. I'm super inefficient. Again, that's negative self-talk. We are reinforcing negative feelings about ourselves, within ourselves, and there's absolutely nothing that's worse than that. So learned optimism is essentially the opposite of learned helplessness, which is again, a negative feeling that we learn to sort of imbibe within ourselves, and it becomes our outlook towards life. For example, okay, I've been unwell for a couple of months, so now I just can't run only. I can't, work a 9-hour day. I can't do this and I can't do that. Now that is learned helplessness. We've learned to be helpless. Instead, we can learn to be positive. There's quite a useful tool that I've linked over here called the Thought Record Worksheet. And in the interest of time, I will not delve into it, but I will share this link on the chat box, and it'll be great if you check it out later. So it's basically a tool that really puts into perspective whether our thoughts are rational or not. It helps us identify our patterns that are possibly negative, and it encourages us to think, and thereby encourages a more optimistic approach. We move on to appreciation. That's gratitude, the A in SOAP. There are two key aspects to this: acknowledgement of the positive things in your life and recognizing their value. Some useful exercises to inculcate this attitude of gratitude, for a lack of a better way to say, is sending a gratitude letter, maybe to somebody you feel particularly thankful towards. So, and this has actually yielded very positive outcomes for the receiver and the sender of the letter. So it's pretty much a win-win. So why not, right? Another thing you could do is the 3 good things exercise, where at the end of the day, you write down 3 things that went well in your gratitude journal. And I personally have found this to be a very effective way of reminding yourself of the things you should be thankful for. And the 365 project is basically this thing that some people do. I'm just going to play this quick video. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's about this lady who clicked a picture of something she was thankful for every day, and how it helped her notice things that she never ever noticed before. So again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to play a section of it. Here.
So I did, for 10 days, I did this little project, wrote down things, and very quickly I realized that there was amazing things I would have missed if I hadn't been doing this. Being a photographer, I decided to do a photographic project called 365 Grateful, and take a photo a day of something I was grateful for every single day for a year. And it changed my life in ways I could never have expected. The first thing I noticed was my husband. He was a beautiful man and a great husband, but he was just never very romantic. And I had kind of labeled him as that. But then doing this project, I started to see things I otherwise would have missed. And there was some beautiful moments and things he was doing that I, in the busyness of every day, wouldn't have even seen if I hadn't been doing this 365 Grateful project. I took a photo one day of a piece of pie that he gave me. We were sitting down for dinner, and there were 2 pieces of pie left in the tray. The first one was a little bit scungy and sliding a little, and the other one had a great big crust. It was a corner piece, and it was delicious and big. And he, without even thinking, put the biggest and the best piece of pie on my plate. And I was just astounded. I realized that every day he was choosing me and thinking of me. It made me see him for the first time, and I was so grateful. At the end of this project, he actually said to me, I feel like I'm a nut for you now. And that was just incredibly beautiful for me. Another.
So basically in the rest of the video, she goes on to talk about her other experiences as part of this, that she came to realize through this 365-day gratitude project that she was doing. And we saw how, you know, she didn't think her husband was that thoughtful or that sweet earlier, but when she really started to think about what is it that she was truly grateful for, she noticed that he was doing so many things for her that probably just slipped otherwise. With that, we come to the last part of SOAP, that's purpose. This is essentially, what is it that brings you alive? Is it painting, dancing, baking, volunteering, or even just your work? You know, find that source and connect with it. Channelize your energy towards that source and, you know, towards inculcating that more often in your life, and that will end up making you feel more in control of yourself and more in charge of your emotions. I'm just going to quote another study here, and I promise it's the last for all of those who are finding my research and stats not so exciting. So in a study with older Americans, some researchers found that one of the best predictors of happiness is whether or not a person thinks of his or her life you know, as purposeful. If they had no sense of purpose, 7 out of 10 people felt unsettled about their lives. And if they did have a sense of purpose, 7 out of 10 people felt extremely satisfied. So now as we come to the last couple of slides, I'm just going to quickly brush over the key takeaways from today's session. One is to know yourself and regulate your emotions, enhance self-awareness, love yourself, because, you know, if you don't love yourself enough, if you don't accept yourself, how are you really going to love somebody else, anybody else around you? You're not doing justice to that emotion. Reach out when you need help, or just reach out even otherwise. Like we said, it's great to keep up social relationships. It helps you deal with daily things. SOAP, what we discussed last, and last but not the very least at all, speaking out against the stigma that is attached to mental health disorders. So with that, I am just going to recite the poem that I spoke of earlier, Wings of Grit, which speaks of the caterpillar's journey into the sky, and then we'll open the floor for discussions. So this is called Wings of Grit, and here goes. I sit alone on the veranda, watching the drops of rain as it makes the leaves quiver and streaks the window pane. Nature is awash, all things bright and clean. Flowers burgeoning, the grass ever so green. An indistinct movement on the branch catches my eye. Inch by inch, a caterpillar toils and tries towards a resting place to bid the world adieu, metamorphose, and face the unknown anew. Inconspicuous, its journey we may deem. Ordinary, its life to us may seem. Though stoic inertness awaits it before, aloft, on wings of fortitude, it can soar. Thank you. So thank you so much for bearing with me and having me here and listening to the session. I've put down my email ID here, so you all can feel free to reach me with any other questions you may have. And if there's any points that you would like to discuss, highlight, please, the floor is open. Thank you.
If there are any questions.
Yeah, Janhavi,
Yes.
my name is R.K. Luthra. I'm the sergeant at arm of the club. I just want to share the power of positive thinking. You know, I was suffering from cervical and I had a treatment from L-chemist for 6 months.
Yes.
And then after that, I stopped. And again, I got that cervical. But I said, no, this time I will not go on medicine. I'll cure myself with positive thinking. So I stood in the front of the mirror every day in the morning and I said, I have no cervical. My cervical is gone. And it gave my confidence and it has gone. So without any medicine. That's the power I personally felt of the positive thinking.
That's brilliant, sir. And
Yeah. So I'm no cervical suffering. I'm permanently gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
That actually speaks of how powerful it really is. So,
yes, it is very powerful.
Yes.
शुक्रिया जो इसने कहा ना सुचि ने beginning में शुक्रिया. Everything if you thank God ना, you feel happy all day यार. जो हो गया ठीक है. शुक्र है बस.
That's very true, sir.
And Rotary में we give the appreciation for every small thing, and that's a good Rotary spirit I've learned from Rotary. Any small thing you say, well done, Mr. So and so, and give a clap. So everybody feels happy, and you feel like doing more and more. That is the Rotary spirit. Gratitude,
Yes.
appreciation. That's the Rotary appreciation. Small things. बच्चे को कहते हैं, oh, very good, यार, अच्छा चल रहा है. And they're doing, my grandson, they're doing well.
That's great to hear. And yes, that speaks to the importance of social relationships and connections.
Connection, appreciation, small matters. That's why you say in England, even if you buy anything from the shopkeeper,
yes.
and at the end of the day, you thank you to him when you give the coin to him. Here, nobody says nothing. Over there, they will teach the child, say thank you to the shopkeeper that he served you. What a great thought.
That's very true.
Luther uncle, we used to say cheers.
Yeah. Positively, be positive.
Luther, you always inspire us.
शुक्र करे हर वाले. शुक्र है. जो हो जाए शुक्र है.
आप हमेशा इंस्पायर करते हो.
Yes. That's my. Another secret of staying happiness, Jani, is to make others happy. Kamal hogi. When you make others feel happy, you will get happiness.
Very true.
What do you think, Jani? Is it okay or not?
Absolutely, sir. The experience you quoted is so powerful, and I think all of you.
That's why always no tension नहीं होती यार. I said यार ठीक है सब ठीक हो रहा है.
Exactly, all is well.
All is well. God is there. शुक्र है. And Suchi शुक्र है.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to say that this is such a beautiful community that you all have woven together through the Rotary, and it even transcends just the tag of the Rotary. It's actually everybody's relationships with each other. It's actually really encouraging to be part of, and it's truly an honor to have the chance to speak with you all today.
Our Rotary Club Midtown in particular is very, very strong in this. Very strong ties together. Yes. All the 100 members. And you, Jani, you must watch the Rotary Family Exchange program in this Sunday at 9 p.m.
Sure.
Suchi, give her the link here.
Hanji, zarur, sir. Janvi, do share your phone number.
I will. I'll be able to.
Do we have any more questions from the house? Or any comments? Anyone? Thank you. If not, President Sanjay.
Yes, thank you, Suchi. Thank you, Janvi. I particularly liked your example of the metamorphosis, transformation, and it's very easy for I think Rotarians also to connect to that concept, because that is what we keep doing. We everything we attempt to do is an effort to transformation. There are areas of focus, and it's basic education, literacy, it's health. We try to touch lives and improve lives every day. Some of our significant projects this year has been, building additional classrooms at Pir Mushalla, in Then there's a project which is just beginning. That's almost about 80 lakhs, where we're bringing 2 mobile vans for detection and prevention
of corona.
And which would later extend to TB and other diseases also. You know, we hope that this corona would end soon. There is also, we run an Astra Sarai Center for past many years at the 32 GMCH hospital, where people accompanying patients, you know, are given bed and lodging there, and food at very basic rates. These are just some of the basic things. Plus, we have vocational service where we keep training people for different skills, and following that, help them to find employment as well. Extending a little bit to what our past President Lutherji was mentioning, you know, a point I also wanted to mention, the age in the club, you know, of the members. You'll find people over 80, you'll find people below 40, and it is sometimes surprising, or rather, you know, I'm quite intrigued whether do we who are in the mid-level, you know, take care of the elders, or the elders are taking care of us, you know. And I say this especially when I hear past President Lutherji speaking, because sometimes I feel they have so much of energy that we are being taken care of rather than, you know, we taking care of them. So that's a very positive energy we feel we have in the club, where each one takes care of each other. And I think if Indu Luthra ma'am is here, she's one of the most vibrant members we have here. You know, in our program, we actually have an expression of gratitude. You know, speaking of gratitude, we have an expression of gratitude also.
Rotary is all about gratitude.
And
Rotary is all about gratitude.
And with this, I would like to invite our President-elect Salil Chopra ji to kindly come and give the expression of gratitude for this unique week.
Thank you, President. My President Sanjay, Secretary Shuchi, and Janhavi Malhotra. Today, after this melodious invocation from Shuchi, and then super talk on positivity and superb address on how to be positive, really made the mind relaxing. In this pandemic situation, where all around negative and negative and negative is spreading, depressing news are coming, you know, this is some kind of solace we received today evening through Janhavi. She least used the word negative. In whole address, I was listening very carefully, positive, 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 being used, you know, excellently. You know, when you keep striking something, the symptom do drill into your brain. So I'm so sure her address would drill to our brain that how to be positive and how to make things positive. And I've learned one thing. In my arithmetic algebra, negative when multiplied by negative become positive.
Very good.
So I'm so sure this catalytic agent, Janhavi, or the, you know, her approach being a catalyst will multiply into positive, positive, positive. Her total talk is summed up in three words. I cannot, I can, I will. I'm so sure this is the Guru mantra.
I will.
This is the real mantra of life. People should adopt this and see the negativity will start running away from us, and we will be sourced by the positive thoughts which is required today. I must say, she addressed one thing beautifully. Do what excites you. Do what excites you. By any means, follow that way of excitement. This gives pleasure, this gives happiness, and this brings positivity in you. It is all the more required in this pandemic situation. It is all the more to follow what she told us today, that we should move toward happiness, and happiness brings positivity, and positivity means increasing the life span. So thank you, Janhavi, for being so gracious. Your introduction itself told us that there is a lot to listen and lots to follow. Thank you for being so good. It was very nice of you to address the Rotarians, and we promise to follow those small things, which can make us happy and excited. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chopra, for your most kind and encouraging words. They do truly mean a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Very nice observations that there was barely any usage of the word negative. If I have our International Service Director, Dr. Sanjay Kadra here.
Yes, he's there. Sanjay sir.
Sanjay Kadra.
Sanjay? Yeah. I'm here.
Yes, Dr. Sanjay, I wanted you to, put out the details. So I have my virtual background on the event for the 18th, but I wanted you to, share details for the benefit of the members and guests.
Okay. One moment.
Basically, sir, I'll share the screen also. You can go ahead and talk about it. I'll share the screen. Yes, sir.
Which one? No, that's fine. But have you mentioned that in the screen? Whatever I conveyed it to you? That's fine. It's okay.
You talk, I just share the screen. You can go ahead. Bolo na.
Okay. See, basically, I would like to invite all of you, all the Midtowners for the virtual Rotary Friendship Exchange program that is going to be happening on 18th of April at 9 p.m. It will be a 2-hour program, 9 to 11, and we will have a virtual Rotary exchange with 3 clubs of Mexico. Total 7 clubs are participating from 5 countries. Mexico, Colombia, Canada, India, and Peru. So in this program, we are going to have various activities, like, for example, we'll have, this will be a platform for exchange of culture, including dance, music, cuisine, and the exchange of Rotary ideas of India with Canada, Peru, Mexico, and Colombia, the participating countries. Now the physical program will be on the rooftop of my garden in view of the pandemic situation and the night curfew which is being imposed in Chandigarh. So we will conduct it virtually with all the countries starting at 8:45. The Zoom room will be open at 8:45, and the link has already been conveyed to you on the WhatsApp. Then in this, preferably all the people who are participating, including the teams and everybody else, I would prefer that everybody should dress up in the traditional Indian dress, Indian dresses. There will be presentations from the 7 participating districts. The presentations will include about the district, about their sightseeing places, about their cuisine, about their culture, including the dances and music, and and the projects. And these presentations will be done by the respective district RFE chairs of all the 7 districts. In between, we will have some dances, regional dances like Punjabi dance and Bhangra and Haryanvi folk dance and all those things as basically breaks in between. Then we will have a presentation from Mexico, which is a collaboration of all the types of regional dances that they have in their country. This will be followed by showcase of the cuisine, which will be managed by Kulwinder Baba, and preferably there are 4 types of dishes which are being prepared and which are being showcased in the presentation by us, and those will be prepared and we'll be enjoying it in our homes. Okay.
Lucky fellow, yeah.
So we will be trying to make it as interesting as possible, and all the participants, everybody can participate in this. You can be part of it, and this will be a good program, virtual platform for networking, for fellowship with 4 more countries around the world. So I want you all to be in the full strength for this very interesting program, and I hope to see you day after tomorrow at 9 o'clock, 8:45 rather. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. I'll now request Secretary Shuchi to make other announcements and birthdays, anniversaries for this week.
Thank you, President Sanjay. We have the birthday of past President Rotarian Kanan Devan on 20th of April. Congratulations, Kanan ma'am. Kanan ma'am, unmute karo please apne aap ko. I'll spotlight her so that everyone can see her.
Happy birthday.
Very good. Very good. Happy Kananji. Happy birthday, Kananji. Yes.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
Congratulations, ma'am. Happy birthday. See you
Thank
long,
you.
long
Thank you,
years.
everyone. Thanks to all of you.
That's nice necklace you are wearing.
देख भी नहीं रहा, आपको दिख कैसे गया? आपने स्क्रीन के अंदर कैसे देखा?
जानी वही तो बात है, देखने वाले नजर रखते हैं,
नेकलेस नहीं है,
नेकलेस नहीं है, ईयरफोन दिख रहा है,
हमें ईयरफोन नजर आ रहे हैं, सर को
ईयरफोन नजर आ रहा है, नेकलेस नहीं है।
नहीं, ब्लैक कलर का पहना है, दिख रहा है थोड़ा सा।
जानवी ने उन्हें तो क्या अप्रिसिएशन करो यार, कोई चीज देखो तो।
वो अब जाएंगी नेकलेस पहनेंगी।
अच्छा नहीं देख लिया मैं। अच्छा गुड।
कानन जी हैप्पी बर्थडे। आप कितने टीआरएफ को कितना दे रहे हो?
जो आप कहोगे, जो मेरा प्रेसिडेंट ऑर्डर करेगा मैं दे दूंगी।
संजय किधर हो? हमारे को $1000 चाहिए, वो फाउंडे उसमें डालना है, 2015 के लिए डालने हैं मैम।
ओके ओके,
थैंक यू। और लूथर सर, आप भी मेजर डोनर बन जाओ, कल बर्थडे था आपका, अब गायब क्यों हो गए?
मुझे कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा।
मेरे को
सुनाई दे रहा।
नहीं, देखो ग्रैटिट्यूड है, दिस इज आल्सो ग्रैटिट्यूड। आपको हमने चांस दिया।
एक गाना बर्थडे पे बजाते हैं, उस गाने का मतलब समझ में आ गया। तुम जियो हजारों साल, तो $1000 तो सबके बनते ही हैं। So that is where हजारों साल comes in. So TRF $1000, yes. All contributions with gratitude. Is someone playing that song? Right. So, Shuchi, is there any other announcement, or is that only one?
We just had this day after tomorrow's virtual RFE with Sanjay sir, and we have already deliberated on. Nothing else from my end.
Thank you, Shuchi. Pastman, Dr. Vora, I think, were you trying to put in a view?
Sanjay, I joined late. I missed most of the things.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm sure Shuchi will be sending the video, so I'll catch up with Janhavi. Janhavi, I'm the editor. So.
Yes, sir, and please upload the entire video.
I'll upload the entire video, and if I get your PowerPoint presentation, it will be more easy for me to write more about you.
Sure, I could email it, Doctor. Yeah.
Whatever I could heard little bit at the end was that you talked very positive, and like Past President Luther Saab said, Shukar hai. So I would like to tell I joined late because my new AC stopped working. So the mechanic had come, so Shukar hai, he says ke kal PCB change kar dunga. Chalo Shukar hai, kal chal padega. Another thing I want to say, Shukar hai, that because of this pandemic, the world has become so small. Like Dr. Sanjay Kalra has just now announced that day after tomorrow, five countries are going to meet on the virtual platform, and we will be having a virtual fellowship. This is possible only because of this so-called COVID or because of pandemic. Otherwise, we couldn't have thought of having a virtual meeting like this. So it is only because of pandemic. So let's talk positive about this pandemic. Don't create scare. Tomorrow maybe curfew, day after curfew, whatever curfew is. Even if it is curfew, you are at the most safest and most beautiful place in the world. That is your own home with your own children and grandchildren. So even if there is curfew, there is pandemic around, let us enjoy sitting at home. And on behalf of Dr. Sanjay Kalra, I would request all our members to join at 9 o'clock on the top roof of Dr. Kalra, Rita Kalra and Sanjay Kalra. And we'll have a wonderful time. And let's hope it will be a wonderful event, a virtual event. Let's hope we get more opportunities to have more virtual events. Thank you.
Thank you, Past President Dr. Voda. With this, we come to the end of today's meeting this evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for being in good numbers. And thank you, Janhavi, again, for being with us and sharing your views, your positive views. I hereby adjourn this meeting. We would have the room open for 5 to 10 minutes for fellowship and
Janhavi, I would like to ask you to kindly send me your address so that we can send a sweet memento in remembrance of this meeting.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm Dr. Kalra. Sure, I'll be. Thank you.